So today's video I want to talk about why it's actually a good thing to be the underdog as a footballer. Now what I mean by this is literally that being the underdog is where you're a young player, maybe like I said, between the ages of 12 to 18, you're a young player, but you're not really, the star player that everyone looks at as, oh yeah, he's the guy, he's the best footballer. Like, you get this dynamic in school, where in school I feel like there's always one or two guys, one or two footballers where everyone just looks at them as the guys, you know what I'm saying? Everyone just sort of looks at them as like, ah, they're the best players, they're the best players in our class, in our year group, whatever. And especially if you're in a country where football is the main sport, you actually see it. Like, when you're younger in school, you kind of see people get like certain privileges simply because they're good at football. It's sort of that same thing that, when you were really young in school, maybe like 6, 7, and if you were the fastest kid in school, you were the guy. Well, this is more that, like, if you were the best at football, maybe from like 10 years old all the way up to like 16, you were the guy, you understand? And if you're watching this video, maybe you're the guy who's you're not really seen as one of those guys, you know what I'm saying? You're not really seen as, the academy guy who gets to go on academy leave. You see these guys in my secondary, especially, there were so many people who used to go on academy leave. I'd see them, I'd be going to class and I'd walk past the reception and they're already going at like 11 a.m. going to go trade, going to go, do schoolwork with their academy teammates in another place. And I'd just be thinking to myself, like, damn, like, I wish that was me. Like, I wanted that to be me so badly, you understand? But yeah, obviously that never happened to me, but I feel like that's a good thing, you know what I'm saying? It's a good thing when people doubt you, you understand? It's a good thing where people sort of say, oh, this guy's better than you, this guy's better than you. I feel like it gives you that hunger, you understand? Because I feel like if you're the star boy every single way, every place you go, if you're the star boy for your whole life, where everyone's told you you're amazing, you're this, you're that, you play matches in school and you play like school matches at like break time, at lunchtime and things like that, and everyone tells you how amazing you are, how you do this, how you do that, suddenly you start to feel like the man, you understand? But obviously this can lead to complacency, this can lead to inconsistency, this can lead to you maybe feeling privileged. Maybe if you're a guy who's always been in an academy his whole life, maybe you start to feel entitled to certain opportunities. You sort of don't work as hard, you understand? And I feel like in the long term, it's always the players who I've recognized who maybe they weren't the best, maybe they weren't amongst the top footballers in like their area or their school, their environment, wherever it was always like the second tier players who, because they always felt doubted, because they felt slighted in some sort of way, because maybe they felt like they were better than another guy who was getting more praise than them, you understand? That forced them to put in the work, that forced them to go even harder, just sort of stick to it. Whereas I feel like a lot of the guys who played academy from young, as soon as maybe whilst they're in the academy, they start to lose that hunger. They start to think in their head, oh, I'm gonna be a professional footballer anyway. And once you get that thought in your mind of, oh, I'm gonna be a pro anyway, it doesn't really matter, that's when you start to see people sort of slacking off. That's when you start to see people maybe not take training as seriously as they once did. Maybe their mind's just off football. Maybe before after school they used to literally go to the AstroTurf, go to their local park, and they do kickouts. But now you see them after school, they're sort of just chilling with their friends, not really doing anything, you know what I'm saying? Obviously there's no problem with just chilling with your friends after school, there's a time and place, but before that you would never see them just standing there chilling. But now it's sort of like an everyday thing, and you're kind of wondering, like, yo, isn't this guy meant to be at training? Isn't this guy meant to be a professional footballer? And you sort of see that pattern. At least in my experience, I've seen that pattern where the guys who are in the academies from young, as soon as you hit like 16, 17, 18, majority of the guys I know, they're not really playing anymore, you understand? Obviously there are some who have stayed in the academies and, I'm saying, they're playing well, they're doing well for themselves. But a lot of them, especially when they get released, they just sort of don't have that bounce back ability. I think that's the main thing. A lot of them, because they've never really faced rejection in their life at all, they don't sort of have that that drive in them to come back from a rejection, or come back from being told that they're not good enough. I feel like a lot of players, if they've been in the academy for a very long time, that's when they get released, that's probably like the first time in their life where they've probably been told, look, you're not good enough. And obviously that hits them hard. Imagine you've never been told that, and then you get to like 16 years old and you finally get told to someone, yo, you actually need to work with, you actually need to do this, do that. We don't want you on our team. You're not good enough. Like, do you know how slighted you would feel? Like me personally, and I know a lot of other players personally, like me, I've been told that I'm not really good enough a lot of times, to the point where it's like it doesn't really phase me anymore, you understand? And even if it's not people directly saying it to your face, it's a case of like, let's say I'd go down to the AstroTurf or something. You go down to the AstroTurf and you just meet people there, and they're doing like a big tournament, you know what I'm saying? We're doing like a big, let's say we go down there, it's like a 7-a-side pitch, and there's like, let's say there's like 21 people and we're picking 3 teams. I remember when I was like 14, 15, playing against other guys, for some reason I'd always be one of the last guys picked. I don't know why, but I'd always be one of the last guys picked. I remember anytime we used to start playing games, I used to take that so personally, and I'd literally go out there, literally chip on my shoulder, hunger, and I'd ball out. And then after I'd ball out, people start asking me, oh, what's your name, blah blah blah, doing this and doing all of that. And obviously I'll start chatting to them, I'll start conversating. But in the back of my mind, I was just thinking, yo, you bitch, bro. Like you picked me last. You tried to, I remember they would pick me last. Guys would try to put me in goal. I was like, nah, bro. I was like, yeah, put me in goal again. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like little things like that can actually help you. I feel like it's actually a good thing to, sort of be doubted as a footballer, even if it's in your school, even if it's, let's say, obviously I remember we used to have conversations about who are the best players in our school, especially in secondary school, even primary school. People would have conversations about who are the best players, who's the best at football, is this guy better than this guy. We'd always have those debates. And I remember in primary school there was always one, what's it called, I personally thought I was the best player at our primary school, but there was always this one guy where everyone used to say that he was better than me, and I can't lie, he was my boy as well. He still is my boy to this day, but that would actually annoy the hell out of me, because I personally thought I was the best player, but every single person always said that he was better than me. So I remember anytime I used to go into school football matches, bro, I made it a mission to make sure I played at my best. You know what I'm saying? I remember me and him, we were competing in terms of top goal scoring. You understand? I made it a mission to make sure that I scored more goals than him. And every single game we sort of be we still be competing. Every single game, tournament that year, I remember we'd always be counting our goals. But yeah, literally that motivation, just being slide all the time. Everyone used to say, oh, he's the best player, he's the best player. Even the girls who used to, they barely watch, but even that, the few times they watch on the sidelines, even they would say in primary school, oh yeah, he's the best player at this, oh, he's the best at football. I remember, and people would tell, and obviously the man would go tell the girls, oh yeah, this guy's the best player, and I'll be thinking, fucking hell, like, nah, I would, inside I was pissed, but obviously I couldn't, I wasn't hating, because at the end of the day, like I said, he was my boy, but I still did think, I was always better than him. But I feel like it's good to carry that chip on your shoulder, because like I said, most of the star boys that I knew, even when I transitioned to secondary school, even the star boys were not even in my year, but in other year groups as well, year groups older than me, year groups younger than me. Most of the star boys probably not even, they're not, a lot of them are not playing football anymore, you understand? A lot of them got rejected, and then they just don't have that, like I said, they just don't have that bounce back ability. They just don't have that sort of mental toughness, get rejected, get told that they're not good enough, and then bounce, and then climb back up the ladder, you understand? I remember, me and one of my boys were going to a game in his car, and he was saying that the guys that we normally play with, a lot of them can't really take criticism, simply because they're used to being, the star players. They used to be, the young prodigies in school. So it's kind of hard for them to take criticism. But whereas me and him were saying that, yo, we've been criticized our whole life. We've been told that, yo, you're not good at this, you're not good at that. I remember I went to like some trials to get into like a football college. I remember I passed the first trials, and then the second trials, I remember guys were looking at me like, yo, who is this guy? Like this guy in midfield, he's not doing anything, he's not doing this. I remember I literally overheard them literally saying, yo, our midfielder, he's so dead, he's this, he's that, and I was thinking, raw. So obviously at the time it didn't feel good, but you know, I've been criticised, I've been told that I'm not good enough, and obviously that toughens you up mentally, you understand. So now when I go on the pitch, it's kind of like, bruv, I don't care what anyone says, you know what I'm saying? I'm just here to play football, I'm just here to ball out. Even if my teammate shouts at me, say I'm not doing this well, I'll just be like, alright, cool, and then I just make sure that I fix up, you understand? And my friend who was in the car, he's the same way. He was telling me about how he used to have no first touch. His coach used to get onto him saying, bro, you've got no first touch, you need to work on your first touch. How his teammates used to get onto him about, put it like this, he always used to tell me that he used to be the guy where his team would play 5, 6, 7 passes, you understand, and then when the ball got to him, he'd always be the guy who loses it. And then you know them ones where you lose the ball and every single person, your teammates, your coaches, they're all just moan at you. You just hear that collective sigh, you just hear that noise of, oh my days, this guy. He told me that he was that guy, and obviously he told me that now he's improved, you understand. But he told me that, yo, that's how he doesn't mind when managers shout at him, he doesn't mind when other players shout at him. And yeah, this conversation between me and him just sort of got brought up because me and him, we normally go to like some 7-a-side football sessions on Thursdays where we just play against other 7-a-side teams, you understand. And we were just saying that, yo, some of the guys on our 7-a-side team would complain about the way my boy next to me in the car, how he used to always shout, how he used to shout, yo, it's not good enough, do this, do that. You know, my boy, he's very loud on the pitch, you understand. And a lot of our teammates were complaining at him, you know what I'm saying. But I was simply saying to him that, yo, you need to keep it up. And obviously that's how the conversation started, about how certain players can take criticism. Because, you know, they've been doubted before in the past, they've been told they're not good enough, and then there's other certain players who don't really respond to that sort of, you know what I'm saying, that sort of tough, you can call it tough encouragement, you know what I'm saying, tough encouragement, telling them to do better. Simply, especially he was talking about one guy in particular where he had grown up with this guy that we were playing with. He was our striker for our little 7-a-side team. He told me that, yo, he was the star player. He was, you know, going for academy trials and all of that, and he's always been told that he's the guy. So he was telling me that, yo, he doesn't really take well to, you know, criticism, you understand. I feel like it's a skill that you need to develop, just taking criticism, because at the end of the day, getting told you're not good enough, it just mentally hardens you, so that when you eventually, you know, get rejected, maybe don't get through to a trial, you still have the ability to, you know, go back home, reflect on it, and just think about where you need to improve, you know what I'm saying? Because that's all you really can do. If you don't really have that ability to just say, yo, it is what it is, I'm not good enough yet, let me just go home and improve, and you just sort of just sit there, just sort of just cry in your sorrows, you understand? That's not really a good mentality, because ultimately how it goes is that you can't really fail unless you quit, you understand? As long as you have the ability to just keep going, you're always, like I said, you're always gonna find something. Even if you don't make it as a footballer, you're gonna learn something eventually that you can take into your life, take into whatever venture you go into in another part of your life, you understand? You're going to be a success somewhere else in your life, because you're still going to be able to take those lessons that you learn from football and apply them to wherever you're at. And even another thing as well, look at certain professional footballers and their mentality. Look at a guy, obvious example, Ronaldo. At Man United, what happened? Ronaldo went there doing his stepovers. He got called out by Ruud van Nistelrooy. He probably got called out by guys like Roy Keane, guys like Paul Scholes. I remember Van Nistelrooy was going mad at him for not crossing the ball, saying that he should go to the circus and do all these clown shows. I think there was one story about Paul Scholes, about how Paul Scholes was like, yo, doing your stepovers and all of that, that's not really technique. And then Paul Scholes showed him, yo, being able to hit a target 50 yards away, that's technique, you know what I'm saying? Just little stories like that. I'm pretty sure Roy Keane probably got onto him as well, Rio Ferdinand, you know, all these guys. So Ronaldo had that environment where he had to be immune to the criticism. He had to just take it on the chin, and he had to just tell himself that, yo, if I want to make it at Man United, I'm gonna have to improve. So obviously he got to work, you know what I'm saying? Because he had those guys around him, you know, giving him that constant criticism. Obviously he had a manager who's holding him accountable as well. Obviously Sir Alex loved the guy, but he still held him accountable, you know what I'm saying? He still probably told him that, yo, if you want to be a main star in my team, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. But whereas you take a guy like Marcus Rashford, obviously, like I said, same position as Ronaldo, left on the left wing, same club as well. But obviously, it's sort of him and Ronaldo like 10 years apart, you understand? And obviously, Marcus Rashford, from all the managers he's probably been through, he's probably only had Jose who held him accountable. And even with Jose ended up getting sacked. But, you know, guys like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, guys like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I even feel like the hierarchy of Manchester United, they didn't really hold him accountable. They let him get away with certain things. They let him get away with poor performances. You know, the people at the top, and even the fan base as well, they let him get away with so much simply because he was Manchester born and bred. You understand? So he never got that mental toughening where he could come back from from setbacks. He can come back from adversity. That's why you see with Rashford, it's always like he'll have one good season, and then he'll have one good season, then he'll fall off. A good season, fall off. Good season, fall off. And then eventually what happened? He had that one good season, they gave him the contract, they gave him the 300k a week, and then as soon as things started to go bad for him, he could just never recover that form, and now he's at Aston Villa. You understand? So that's an example. So that's two different examples of, you know, Ronaldo, a guy where it's like he was held accountable. He was told that, yo, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that. Whereas Rashford, he needed to be told, yo, you need to work on your game. You're not good enough to do this. But let's be honest, the club, Man United, you know, the people higher up, even the fan base, you know, they coddled him. They sort of coddled him. They babied him. They said, "Oh, it's all right. He's still." They did the whole, he's still young. He's still this. He needs give him time. Blah blah blah. And like I said, they didn't really hold him accountable to until one day they got frustrated with him and they said, "All right, cool. It's time for you to leave." You understand? And even the one manager that tried to hold Rashford accountable, Jose, ended up getting sacked, and they brought in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and let's be honest, he wasn't holding Rashford accountable. He was probably just telling all these guys, yo, just go out onto the pitch and just do whatever you want. You understand? Nobody was really there to, you know, like discipline Rashford and really make him mentally tough. And I feel like that's why he struggles to, you know, he struggles for consistency. I feel like as soon as something goes wrong for him, his confidence is just shook automatically, simply because, like I said, he hasn't been through that adversity. He hasn't been through what Ronaldo went through, about his teammates cussing him out, telling him you're not good enough. Because let's be honest, Ronaldo had all those leaders in the dressing room, like I mentioned. Who did Rashford have to really, you know, criticize him? Who did Rashford have to? Who did Rashford even forget teammates criticizing him? Who did Rashford have as competition? You understand? That's another thing as well. Ronaldo had competition at Man United. Competition's another thing. Rashford didn't really have that competition. It was always a thing where it's like, no matter if Rashford has a good game, a bad game, an average game, he's always going to be the starter. He's always going to be the starter, you understand? Because especially when guys like Lukaku left, Sanchez left, Martial got moved to striker, and Zlatan left. As soon as the club got rid of, you know, all of Jose's players, it's sort of like, yo, Rashford was sort of given the keys, you know, they gave him the number 10, and then he just sort of had... he got rewarded for not really, he got rewarded even though he didn't necessarily deserve those sort of rewards, you understand? I don't think Rashford, you know, earned his number 10. They just gave it to him because, like I said, he's Manchester born and bred. They gave him the contract after one season, even though they had seen before that his form during seasons goes like this. They still ended up giving him the contract, and yeah, he got the contract, and he just really hasn't been the same since then, you understand? But yeah, literally, you can see it from other players as well. A guy like Jamie Vardy, still doing it at like 36, 37 years old. And even though it's his age, you can say, how is his body not breaking down? It's crazy how he's still performing in the Prem at this age. But to be honest, I think a lot of it is just mental. Like, think about what Jamie Vardy was doing. This guy was a bricklayer at like 21, 22, still going to football games, you know. He had to work his way up through the leagues, literally semi-pro to National League, League 2, 1 to Leicester, winning the Prem. Like, he's been through the journey, you understand? Things like that build character. So, like I said, I think if you're one of them guys who's not really considered, you know, one of the best footballers for whatever reason, maybe it's just your play style, maybe you're not really the flashy guy doing step overs, taking people on, maybe you're a young player and people don't actually recognize, people don't really appreciate what you actually bring to the table, even though you are a good player. Even if you're not getting recognized for it, it's, in my opinion, it's actually a good thing to be that underdog, because it gives you that chip on your shoulder, because it allows you to just take a moment and be like, yo, so you guys think this guy's better than me, you think this guy's better than me, you think this guy's better than me, alright, cool, let me really lock in. It gives you that opportunity to really lock in, and then eventually you improve your game to the point where it's like, even though you're still not the flashy player, people will start to, as people get older, people will actually start to look at you and be like, alright, cool. People will start to appreciate, you know, your spatial awareness, your football IQ, how your weight of pass is perfect every single time. Once you get older, people actually appreciate that thing, and that's what coaches actually look for as well. So like I said, even if you're a young player, 12, 13, 14, and you're not really the guy who's getting the praise from, you know, your people in school, your teammates at your football club, or whatever it is, and you're not really considered the star boy in any football environment you go to, yo, trust me, it's a good thing. It gives you that chip on your shoulder. It makes you work. It makes you consistent. Because obviously, like I said, if you have that chip on your shoulder, you're not gonna get complacent. You're not gonna get consistent. You're always gonna have that hunger. You know what I'm saying? And even if you're the guy who gets shouted at a lot, gets told he's not good enough, like what's it called? Like I said, it's all just toughening you up mentally. So so yeah, that's all I've got to say for this vid. Hope you enjoyed. I've been JT, and I'm out.